And now I'd like to introduce our speaker. I could go on forever about who this speaker is. I'm very thankful for all the things that he has given me and many people in this room. Anyone that has ever taken a class with him or learns from him or receives readings or any of the above, everyone has felt the same feeling I have, and that person is Reverend David Miller.
I'm thankful that you didn't talk forever. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for that meditation. You come on.
That's okay.
Huh?
I'm waiting. Go ahead.
Thank you. So good.
Please, go ahead.
So, are we ready to complete 18 and 219?
Yes.
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 I want you to make a list of all the things that you want to get rid of today. And write that list down. And now you know what you can resolve, replace it with. If you're going to think of what you want in your life right now that you don't have room for it right now. Because you need to get rid of things before you make room for the ideas that you have and the goals that you have. That's a principle of this universe. The first of the year, everyone has all these lists of things, resolutions and all this they're going to do. And they never make room for them. And so what happens is that they don't happen. And when I start my list out is, I say, happy, healthy, and wealthy. And then I ask myself, what is unhappy? What is ill? And what is lack? And that's the last time I think of those three. Because I write the list down there, what's in there. Now I know what I can replace it with. And replace it, how do we apply the principles in our life? We think, we talk, and we act. How many of you have ever done a garden? What happens when you plow the ground?
Breaks it up.
Huh?
Breaks it up and releases.
Yeah, but it brings
It's
what's on
there.
top onto the bottom.
The bottom.
The bottom is on top. We do the same thing. What's within us that we want to get rid of? Then we have something to replace it with. And then what happens is that you mix those all together. So this is why we don't ever forget what we've done. Because then we remember what not to do when it happens again. And so as you mix them together, then you plant a seed. And what I'm beginning to talk about is natural law, creative law, a principle. And every time you put a seed in the ground, it starts changing. How many people here don't think? Boy, good response. You don't think? Well, you got quite a bit to learn. That's one thing you're always doing is thinking. Back in the 70s, they had this biofac machines, back there. And they put one on me, and they said, stop thinking. And the needle went like this. So I found out that I'm always thinking. And so we put the seed in the ground, and then we cultivate. That's an action, is cultivating. Weeding is an action. What are the weeds in our lives? People and places. You're not going to establish a goal and manifest a goal without weeds. If you keep the weeds in your life, you're not going to have a very good garden, a very good harvest. Matter of fact, you'll have the manifestation of weeds. And if you ever gone through some turmoil in your life and you can't think about why am I not getting rid of it or changing it, it's because you still have turmoil in your life. You go to the same places, do the same things, think the same thoughts. You see, when you think the same thoughts, say the same words, and do the same actions, you are actually changing. You are getting stronger at what you are. And you know, when I came out here, you know, I had a real plan. If anything happened that was positive, I figured it was a mistake and it would be changing. And it worked out real good because it kept on changing. And then I found out that was my plan. So first thing I start changing my plan. And you know, the things that we do in development and everything like this is not phenomenal. It happens every day of your life. You are an example of natural law. The way that you think, talk, and act comes from natural law. And who are our teachers? Take a look around and look at each other. Those who your teachers are. Alice can't find any. And so, you know, the main teachers that we have, the first teachers we have are our parents and our family. And I'm very thankful for the parents I had. At one time I was not very thankful for them. But I felt that they didn't do a very, very good job of raising. But I found out they did a very good job of raising because some of the qualities that I have that made me successful, it was learned at that time. When my mother was dying, my two other sisters, three sisters, and my brother had already made his transition, and she propped up in her bed and said, "Well, you know, David always thought he was bigger than all of us." And so I talked to my sisters afterward. She's a little confused about confidence and security. And then before I left the room, I said, "I want to thank you for what you taught me, because I would not have been as successful as I am if it wasn't for your teaching." And she didn't know what to say and everything. But it was good for me to say that and everything. Because if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have, "You can come on in, Sylvia."
Interrupt.
See, I just clear out a weed.
Yes.
And you know, the world that we live in is such alive. And you know, I've been doing metaphysics for what this is 19. It'd be 41 years, 49 years. And you know, I just expanded my spirituality this year of the classes that I'm doing, you know, and the changes that are, the physical changes that are going on right now in the chapel, you know. And if you haven't noticed, there's some physical changes going on. And it's ignited some energy within me that's always been there, and I'm happy to renew with it. There. And I know that through these experiences that I'm having, people are going to be changing much more than they have in the past. And they're going to know it, and they're going to know themselves, because that's our main emphasis on our path, is to know thyself. And that's the knowledge that we have within there. And that's one of the sciences of metaphysics. And if you want to know more about the sciences of metaphysics, come Wednesday at 6 o'clock. That's my plug for it. Because that's what we're studying at that time. And everything. And I want you to know that enthusiasm is with you all the time. And I want to let you know that enthusiasm doesn't just go one way. It goes all ways. You know, when you're upset, that's enthusiasm acting. And so how do we change that into a smooth transition? I had this thing I've been saying for years, peace I am still. And sometimes when I was developing back in the early 70s and everything, I would say that half the time, half a day, over and over and over again. There's certain things that you think about and don't, that work for you. And they're not going to work for anyone else. And that is quite an opening for a teacher, because a teacher wants you to be as what they went through, you know. And they're not going to do that. They're going to go through what they go through. And it's important as a teacher to know that. Because when I started giving messages, you know, I was giving 1 or 2 messages, and all of a sudden I was giving 30 and 40 messages at a service. The pastor who was at that time had to go to Ohio for 3 months, and he come back and said, "Where'd you come from? What happened to you?" And when I started teaching mediumship, why aren't these people talking what they're getting, you know? I was getting very frustrated because they weren't giving anything out. And then my teacher comes out, "David, these are not like you. They are like themselves, and they're going to develop their way. So encourage them to develop in their way and get out of the way." And that's what I've been doing, getting out of the way. And then it allows me to go beyond too. So no matter what your idea is for this upcoming year, look at that list of what you want to get rid of. And what I found that helpful, you know, we have things in our home or anything that we don't ever use. That we just hold on. They have a vibration. They have a memory. I would start getting rid of those things you haven't used in 3 or 4 years. That will open up a vacuum. And you know what science says about a vacuum? There is no such thing. Now, to replace that vacuum is to be aware of your thoughts and your words and your actions, because that's what you're going to replace it with. If you think of what you're getting rid of, guess what? You're going to get that, what you're getting rid of. It's very natural to do that. Let's take another step this year and think of what you want to replace. Use the word replace. And if you don't know what it is, there's an all-knowing within you that does know that. And when it comes up there, you're not going to be familiar with it. So, get familiar with it. One of the first things I realized when you know, my teachers came to me and said, "You're going to do this, and you're going to do that, and you're going to..." I said, "But you got to talk to people to do that." And I didn't like to talk to people. And they said, "Get over it." And I've been saying that saying for years. Get over it. To myself, you know. When I say it to other people, I'm saying it to myself too. So I want you to know that you have the ability to make these changes in your life. And you're going to be free to do that. And of course, freedom is a responsibility to take care of yourself. And I know that you are in the process of doing that. Bless you.